Hello, I'm Thomas Chair, Chief Content Officer of the Performance Driven Marketing Institute, a not-for-profit trade association that serves companies in the performance and direct-to-consumer marketing world. Welcome to the first event in our 2025 Winter Seminar Series, today created by the PDMI's Workshop Council. This is Fearless Predictions for 2025. We welcome all of you to today's event, PDMI members and non-members alike. If you're not a member but are attending today, we'd love to have you consider joining the association. There's no better way to support the mission of the PDMI than joining and sharing your voice in the direction of this industry. Everyone you see on screen here is a member, and they are active, and they really set the standard for what we do here at the PDMI. In the handouts tab of your control panel, there is a PDMI membership brochure. Go ahead and download it, flip through it, and contact any of our team members if you have more information. Another housekeeping note, the group will be addressing any questions from the audience at the end of today's session, but you don't have to wait to ask them. Utilize the questions tab on your control panel to type in and send your question. We'll be collecting them. We'll try to get to as many as possible in the final moments of the webinar. So Fearless Predictions for 2025, this is an annual session. We always look ahead in the first month of the year, try to figure out what performance marketers should expect from the new year. Obviously, we have ongoing technological changes, media attributions changing, buzz surrounding AI, performance brands trying to find where their consumers are, all of these items and more. We're excited to have this group on hand to share their thoughts about what they see happening. This group is again members of our councils, active members in the industry. They are Jon Calderaro of Concepts Video Productions, Chris Foster, Modern Postcard, Joseph Gray of DRMetrix, who is not on camera. He's in Southern California and undergoing some power issues with the winds, so he's still here joining us. Brave Joseph, thanks for being here. Hance of Leap Fulfillment, Gregory Silvano of Buyist, and Dan Thompson of PlusOne Company. Welcome, everybody. I am going to go in the order I see you on my screen. So first up is Harold. Take it away.
You got the short straw. So when we were tasked with this, thinking about fearless predictions for 2025, I don't know if I technically have predictions, but more of suggestions and what I'm seeing in the marketplace and where things are going. So I asked myself, from basically a back-end support for performance-driven marketing, what can we do from a warehouse perspective, a call center perspective? What are we seeing being successful? And to me, it's the combination of things that are being successful. So when we look at the ad copy for our customers on our websites, and what drives me to do that is, as a fulfillment center, we have our own TikTok account. We drive our customers' business. And one of these things I keep telling them, like, put an 800 number on it. Let that drive that to the call center. Let's add that human voice, that human element to things. Why not increase that marketing rev share, by just tagging an 800 number? It's simple, it's cheap. You're just going to extend, the market share that you're already in. And it's just additional support and backup by us being an extension as call centers or as fulfillment centers. So that's the big thing. By single-use URL, I think we're missing the boat on some of those things. By adding an 800 number from it, by collecting that data, by even the empty shopping carts, turn that data, that address, into a direct mail source, a direct mail buy. Again, additionally supporting what you're doing in the marketplace. People need to see things 2 and 3 times, to make a phone call. So if you have that additional support, not just by email's only opened by about 40% of your customers. Direct mail is opened by about 60% of your customers coming to the mail. And during COVID, it became even a greater commodity because everyone was stuck at home. We saw an increase as we support a lot of direct mail, customers in this industry. So I think sometimes we're missing the boat by being what we call unidimensional. So we have that one dimension, and it's not really expanding. And I think we have to expand that to really increase the market share. And I really think adding the ability to do ACH capture, that speed to collect funds from ACH has just increased rapidly. You're not waiting 4 to 6 weeks to collect your funds to see if that check's going to clear or not, and if it's going to bounce or not. You're not seeing that. So I think just adding that one little component will really, do it. So I think henceforth, really decreasing your break-even cost overall by adding these different sources and backing up what you're already doing successfully. I think that incremental dollars is so important. And so as we say, we're going to turn duds into studs, as far as in the market. So that's prediction suggestion number one.
Can I give you credit for using henceforth?
I was just gonna say that. Yes, it's the only henceforth from PDMI. I wrote it down.
You already won.
Bonus. All right, my job's done.
Sorry, you were continuing.
All right, I'm going to continue. All right. So the second prediction I have is really, again, not a prediction. It's really came out of we just acquired 4 new clients because a fulfillment center was cyber hacked, had ransomware. It's now closed from that. So what that prompted us to do at Leap Fulfillment was to go in and contact our insurance company. I'm like, hey, do I have the correct insurances? Do I have enough? Am I going to be able to, are you going to be able to fund me to continue on to make payroll, to keep people employed? But is there a way to help our clients as well? So do we have those insurances to do those? And I think this is a time really to check on that, that cybersecurity policy. And that's, as marketers, that's one thing that you should be driving your customers to do, to have additionally insured policies for your third-party vendors. The thing that I argue against too is look, I'm a single fulfillment center, so I'm probably cutting my neck a little bit on this, but people that need East Coast, West Coast operations, if you're an East Coast, West Coast operation, but you're operating in the same system and you're hacked, are you not shut down altogether? So why wouldn't you have 2 entities? Why would you have all your eggs in one basket that way? So that's something to really think about and plan. We always say plan for the worst, hope for the best. And that's one thing that we try to do as a company. We try to educate our customers by providing the insurance that they need, but on top of that, suggesting picking up additional insurances. But really that cybersecurity policy is really so important, but also asking, hey, how do you replicate your data? How often do you replicate that data? How often do you back up that data? The problem with that other fulfillment center is they never did a backup from April to May, April to August. 3 more days, they would have had their data backed up. So our data is replicated every 20 minutes at most. I'm like, if not, more often than that. We replicate, and then it's also stored off-site. And you want those third-party options. You want to be protected. You don't want to store it on site. You want it in multiple sites as possible, so you can just plug and play that back in. So those are things, but really check out your cybersecurity policies to make sure that you are connected. And then if you have remote workers, make sure you're VPN in. That's additional securities that you're going to need for your remote workers. So, but those are my suggestions or predictions for 2025.
That's great, Harold. Question for you, obviously, I feel like we talk about data privacy on our webinars a lot, and even in person that shows a lot, but I feel like cybercrime is kind of an afterthought when we have those conversations. That's something that comes up a lot. So it seems like you're a step ahead. How are you incorporating the efforts that you've made in this area as part of your pitch to prospective clients, or have you?
That's easy. We get the testimonials of the 4 clients that we just signed on to as well. So the sad thing about that is these clients have paid thousands of dollars to come over to us, and then the data that we got, we had to unencrypt still. So our backbone is Order Logic, so I will plug them at this point in time. They were able to gather all that backbone of that data to have that continuity-based programs come alive again. So they didn't lose all those revenues but the problem is they had no revenues coming in for anywhere between 6 and 8 weeks. That was the problem. So that was a gamble on our part, by taking 4 clients on at once that coming from a fulfillment center that was hacked. The other thing is that, we make sure that we have policies in place, and we inspect what we expect. So if we're saying it, we're going to inspect it, and then to deliver the expectations and the service level agreements with our customers, but also having them protect themselves with additionally insured policies. So.
Great. Thanks, Harold. Good stuff. Great lead off. Next, we're going to go to Joseph Gray of DRMetrix, an iSpot TV company. Joseph will likely mention this, but I'll mention in advance. Joseph has dropped 2 handouts for the crowd into the handout section of your control panel. So feel free to snag those as you listen to what he's going to talk about. Joseph, take it away.
Thanks, Tom. Good morning or good afternoon for those of you on the East Coast. So no power today at the house, but on the plus side, I suppose I'll be having a candlelit dinner with my wife tonight. So that'll be fun. In a continuation of a trend I started last year, I'll be discussing some research that we use to make some fearless predictions for 2025. So we focused on key television advertiser types, including some traditional DR types of advertisers like short form products. We're going to cover lead generation advertisers, which is probably the largest segment of traditional DR. Talk a little bit about brand DR, which includes all those digitally native D2C campaigns, as well as our friends that are using the long form 20.5-minute infomercials. So the goal, as last year, was to predict full year 2025 TV airings for each of these advertiser types. So developed a prediction methodology which leverages data from a rather important 4-week period here in Q1, which spans the last week of 2024 through this Sunday, which was January 19th. So this period has always been considered rather accommodating for direct response, and it really does set the pace for the rest of the year. So we went back and used 4 years of historical trend data. We did not include the COVID years of 2021 and 2022, just because of the anomalies that created. And anyway, we essentially calculated the 4-week to full year airing ratios for each historical year and for each advertiser type. So a little bit more in depth this year than last year. The full study, including the underlying details, methodology, boring stuff like the the average airing ratios and standard deviation values, as Tom mentioned, are available for you to download if you want a nice read of all the particulars. Anyway, so without further delay, here is what we found, and here are our predictions. Starting with short form products, we're projecting a 7.69% decline in total airings compared to 2024. As many of you know, short form product campaigns are highly sensitive to rate changes. They typically thrive during periods of soft inventory. We're already seeing, I would say tougher market conditions in 2025 for them. And to provide some context, last year for the 4-week period, short form product advertisers cleared just over 41,000 units over that 4-week period. And this year, the clearances are down to around 37,000 units. So already a decline starting off in the year. So for long form 20.5-minute campaigns, we're projecting a rather minimal but 3.16% decline in total airings. I mean, obviously the shift to streaming and other entertainment options has reduced, consumer engagement with long form content. We saw around 8,700 clearances last year in national linear compared to about 7,900 this year. So small step back there. Our third and largest category of traditional direct response are the lead generation campaigns. And for those, we're projecting a modest 1.25% drop in airings this year. So despite the stability, lead generation is experiencing competition from brand DR campaigns, which have been absorbing a larger share of DR inventory over the years. We measured over 213,000 units for lead generation campaigns in 2024 compared to about 191,000 this year. And then lastly, for brand DR campaigns, we're projecting an 11.79% increase in 2025. So, this market segment is fueled by all those digitally native advertisers who are increasingly embracing TV and more or less dominating inventory. We're also predicting that D2C and brand DR campaigns will continue to grow their use of digital program insertion or DPI units this year. Now, sometimes these are referred to as national, local, or national cover-up units, but they're linear units, national linear units that have historically been used by traditional direct response advertisers. However, in more recent years, DPI units have become a cornerstone for these brand DR campaigns and these D2C campaigns. If you download the PDF document that's been shared today, there's a link to a prior study that reports how brand DR campaigns are leveraging these DPI units for growth. In that study, we examined brand DR advertisers with over 50,000 in annual national TV linear spend. Collectively, these advertisers purchased a record-breaking 2.7 million DPI units in 2024. That's the highest level of DPI unit adoption that we've ever recorded. So unfortunately, a lot of that traditional DR inventory is being gobbled up by these brand direct advertisers in recent years. Thanks for listening. Look forward to your questions and comments regarding these findings.
Joseph, thanks so much. I do have a question. I was recently reading in Retail Wire that Nike made a shift away from direct response advertising and put money back into brand. They had been doing some DR campaigns for the last X number, of about a year plus, and they saw that it didn't quite lift and create that overall lift that they were looking for. They went back into brand, saw a bigger lift when focusing on brand approach. Do you think that that's a trend where they were kind of testing the waters with direct response, but then kind of went to more comfortable and familiar pastures with kind of a brand approach?
Well, to try to unpack that, we're not really, I'm certainly not privy to how they're doing their attribution. And, when they say, direct to consumer versus brand, you're talking about completely changing the methodologies. And in doing so, you can kind of misread results. As we all know, traditional audience-based impressions and gross rating points have come under a lot of pressure in recent years. Nielsen, obviously, the gorilla, 800-pound gorilla of that category, has been under a lot of pressure. And a lot of advertisers that are coming into television from digital, they want something more measurable. They're not willing to adopt these impressions or rating-based methodologies. So someone over at Nike, wants to revert back to perhaps the traditional attribution methods, and maybe they use media mix modeling or something to see some type of an increase. But without really diving into the nitty gritty, it's really hard to quarterback that one.
Chris, it's also Nike. I mean, it's like Coca-Cola doing a direct response campaign and trying to measure the results of it. I mean, you could throw a rock out the window and find Nikes for sale somewhere,
Yeah, well, their definition of what they did in direct response is probably not our definition of what direct response is.
That's fair enough, and it's a unicorn example. I totally get it. But I guess what I'm wondering is, as we saw, at least in our industry, the last couple of years, we've kind of said, gosh, this is performance marketing's time, right? We've got all these digital natives. They want performance. They're looking for performance. Kind of the brand approach is going to be waning a little bit. I was wondering, though, if Nike said, well, we tried it. We're kind of waxing back to brand where it's more familiar. And if that's a trend with some of these larger brands.
Honestly,
I feel like they were.
If I can step in, Chris, if they did try it, they are among many major brands that have done so and probably did it not the right way and then ran back with their tail between their legs. We've seen that over and over. We've always talked about how important it is to have performance marketing agencies involved in your campaign, because they do completely different things and they probably, I'm not saying that this is what they did, but we've seen many major advertisers come in, try to have their brand advertising agencies do DR style stuff, fail miserably for 6 months, and then they're back out, right?
Right.
Time and time again. So, I mean, does Nike do performance advertising? Probably not on TV, but online everywhere, right?
That's just it.
Right.
Yeah, it's like to me, it's like there is too big, and I feel like Nike is in that too big world, right?
Well, again, we don't know how they did their attribution.
But even if they did it right, it's such a massive brand that I just feel like they're too big for it. I don't know.
Well, but I like Thomas's point where the idea of using performance advertisers, performance advertising agencies, performance marketing experts to help them navigate this new channel more successfully. I think that's probably a good insight and good recommendation.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Joseph. We appreciate it. I'm going to move on here. Again, Joseph's handouts can be found in the handouts tab. I suggest downloading them. They're great pieces of info for you to use as you look ahead. Up next, we got Dan Thompson from PlusOne Company. Dan and PlusOne are some of our newest members, and so welcome aboard, Dan. Glad to have you.
Yeah, happy to be here. Good afternoon. So, hey, it's Dan from sunny Southern Utah. I'm the Executive Vice President of PlusOne, international conglomerate of call center and BPO services companies. My fearless predictions come from a space where I live and give my life to, the call center. Now, I was told I could be as outrageous as I wanted to be, but while sneaking in some, realistic components in, I think you'll find a little bit of both, hopefully. So, call center agents have been powered with a headset since the very first call center installed in the UK, actually in the 1960s. Although the headset has changed a little over the years, the basic technology is the same. So my prediction is that we're going to see a change in the way agents are powered by wearable technology. This may come in the form of AR, augmented reality, or VR. I'm sure you've all put on your kids' MetaQuest or Apple Vision or PlayStation. If you haven't had the chance to do that, you should probably try it. It's pretty awesome. Here's why. The technology is basically here, and the role of the call center, sales, customer service, agents are changing, and this will help redefine their role. What this does is transform them into hyper-efficient, data-driven problem solvers to support the brands. And then these devices will create a virtual environment where agents can access not only scripts, but real-time data, visual aids, and customer information while seamlessly interacting with the customer, right? And then have data. This application is where I see it in sales, customer service, and technology. So if I break those down, the inbound sales environment, VR environments can simulate product demonstration. So showcasing features interactively for customers in real time. Imagine, walking through like a furniture store, a mattress store, or a clothing shop, or breaking down all the components of the new super duper vacuum on the market. This is the best of both worlds for sales agents, all while having a script and some kind of customer metering gauge to highlight what interests them so far. So maybe monitoring, eye movement, facial expressions, and then focus on that particular piece. That's in the sales space. Now in the customer service space, I think it's really powerful because real-time overlays can provide instant scripts based on previous customer engagements, language translations, which that tech is already here, and sentiment analysis to improve customer engagement. The sky is really the limit when it comes to customer service and the things that we can display virtually, and where only the agents can see, or we can display to the customer on the other line, right? Like pull in, this was your order, right? In the tech support space, I think it's the biggest impact here is AR-enabled headsets can guide agents through complex processes such as assisting customers with product installations, which tech support already does, and or troubleshooting hardware issues in the home. So I think those are three applications for VR. And some fun ideas that I've added there as well, I think are on their way. Either way, it's very exciting. So you better start looking for your next headset, or wait, maybe Neuralink call center agents are next. I don't know.
Dan, I'm interested to like that comes to fruition. I'm like what would that do for recruitment efforts? Number one, and number two, what would that do with the average age of your call center?
Yeah, well, I don't know labor laws. I don't know if I could hire my 14-year-old son, but he would be awesome on the troubleshooting, tech support side. As far as recruiting, I mean, come on, who doesn't want to sit in their home on their IVR or on their VR or AR enabled headset and make money?
Yeah.
Transitioning that into maybe some older demographics, that may be a challenge, and so there may be a hybrid there. Now you've got to go. I mean, we've actually talked about this inside of our business to go start and the store is actually called Swanky. It's all bought, so you can't go take the name. And it's a clothing store, and we want to go beta test, a brand in the clothing world, just to go test out our tech and make this happen.
Yeah,
I think it'd be fun.
Yes.
Awesome. My next prediction is called direct consumer domination. I thought this group and those watching would appreciate that. So the prediction is that more brands will, and we just talked about Nike, right? So we'll pivot from the traditional retail distribution channels, and I'm thinking of brands that are inside of Best Buy, to direct consumer models. What this does is enable the brands to build a stronger customer relationships, gather valuable data, the things that they're not getting already, right? And create tailored experience the big box can't do already. And we know that brands are already doing this, but I think more of them are going to come over to the D2C side. This shift will empower the brands to maintain more control over their pricing, the messaging, and the customer interactions. This will also foster some additional loyalty programs and boost long-term profitability. So that, in summary, I think brands are going to continue to move over even more in 2025 to direct-to-consumer marketing. So the breakdown, just like I had before, I think there's some things driving this, and so those breakdowns are really, the big thing is ownership of the customer relationship. Retail models distance brands from the end consumer, and so this will provide a better, maybe even pre and post purchase support and personalization and experiences for consumers. Data. By selling direct to consumers, brands gain access to critical customer data, in which they can, buying habits, preferences, feedback, and this all can be used to customize and refine the brand's products and predict, future trends as well. More money, better profits. That's always the bottom line. It's obvious. Without the middleman or retailer fees, direct consumer brands can increase profit margins while offering more competitive pricing, but also enhance the services. So it's a win-win. There is one caveat in this, and that is the management that Harold owns, and that is the fulfillment, because the big box will fulfill it. So there is a fulfillment piece there that I did not put in the prediction on how that will affect, but we've already got that taken care of in our industry. And the next piece that promotes direct to consumer is the innovation that the big box is preventing the brands from happening. Is the brands will be able to adapt to the market trends and consumer demands more quickly, and the D2C models will allow the faster decision making and execution, because, well, let's face it, we're awesome, right? We know what we're doing, and they don't have to deal with that in the big box environment.
True.
So these are my predictions of 2025. Either way, I believe the demand on us as a group, the direct consumer experts, will increase as brands and consumers demand more, both from the consumer side and the brand side. So I appreciate it, and I look forward to any questions or comments.
Thanks, Dan. My question, which big box brand do you want to see come across into D2C, and which big box brand do you think your 14-year-old son wants to see come across into D2C?
The reason I looked at Best Buy is because, one, you can't go in that store and get what you want, and we've already seen the previous version of that was it Circuit City?
Yeah.
Crash and burn, right? And we're on the verge of that, and the brands inside of that big box, they have to reach the consumers in a way, and we know that some brands already inside Best Buy are doing that, but not all of them. And so they need to make that, they need to cross that chasm in their marketing efforts.
Makes sense. Great. Anyone else thoughts? We're good?
No, I hope you're right.
I agree.
Me too.
Great. Up next, Jon Calderaro from Concepts Video Productions. Jon, obviously, Concepts, one of the longest term players in our industry, but a new member in the last in Q4. So welcome in, Jon. Glad to have you here. Glad to have you taking part. Take it away.
All right. Yes, I am Jon Calderaro from Concepts Video Productions. As Thomas said, we've been around more than 40 years. We are new to PDMI this round, but we've been members of the area for a long time. We went away, we're back. The industry's changed a lot, of course. So we do just video production, which is ever-changing area. So my two predictions are going to be related to video production and what we do at Concepts. My first prediction, and this is already sort of happening, but we're going to see more of it, and it's going to have to do with AI, which is AI is going to help write formulaic scripts, create the musical backgrounds and the VOs on projects. Now we're definitely already seeing the music and the VOs. And I'm going to give my opinions on this stuff as well. So with the scripting, I'll start there. So yes, AI can write a script. And yes, there's probably some good ideas in that script, but I do not think it will replace script writers. And there's a lot of reasons for that. You know, emotion in scripts is a funny thing. And AI can give script writers ideas and maybe non-script writers some ideas, but you're going to have to go back and you're going to have to redo the script. So either way, we haven't used it, to be honest. We're script writers in the company, and we prefer to do it ourselves. But I think there could be a tool here for maybe people that aren't script writers that maybe try to become script writers, and that's fine. And I think it could be helpful. But it's not going to replace us. I truly believe that we can do a better job than AI. As far as the music is concerned, we are already seeing that as well. Now, with these music subscription sites, there's still subscriptions. You still got to pay for them. You still got to create the music. We are members of many license-free music sites, and it's similar. So this gives options to maybe content creators that are new, that are looking to figure out how to do this stuff, and they have a lot of options. Because, man, I know you guys, if you're on social media, but my whole feed is filled with AI this and AI that. It's a little bit overwhelming. I don't know if they can all last, but there's a lot of options out there at the moment for music. And then finally, the VOs. Again, another category where we have used AI VO on some stuff, but on really inexpensive webinars. and it's not, it's okay. It still needed to be corrected, and there was still work to be done after we completed it. So I think it can be useful for really low budget projects, but at the same time, voiceovers now are not that expensive for the talent. We work with them all the time, and they don't have to be super expensive. And unless you're working with, say, a celebrity or something like that, yes, you're going to spend money, but there's some also, there's good options though with AI. I see what's coming out, and I've talked to a bunch of companies that do it. But again, it's still a subscription. Some of them are expensive too, and if you're doing a large amount of bulk, maybe I can see it being good. But again, besides the little webinars, we still go to our talent. We have our talent pool that we like, and we continue to use them. So that's my first prediction. And again, we've been seeing this, but I think we're going to see more of it. So I don't know if you want to go into the second one, or you want to have questions on that first one.
Go ahead.
Okay. Second prediction, also with video, and again, something we've also seen, but we're going to see more of it. I believe we're going to see more user-generated content, and I don't mean I don't mean influencers that cost a lot of money. Those are going to be out there, celebrities, all that stuff. You're going to see more just regular people out there pitching the products because it's cheap. It's the bottom line. And so we do tons of testimonials, and although we use it as well, but we have our user-generated talent, our testimonials. We started to have them shoot their own footage for us. So again, it was a way for us to save money because we're getting less money on the budgets. So we go out there and when we advertise, we say, hey, this is part of the program. You're going to shoot your own content and you're going to give it to us. And you'd be amazed at how many responses you get. There's just no lack of talent. So I think you're going to see more and more of this. And over time, is it going to work? Is that the way to go? I don't know. I guess we'll see. I know Joseph has mentioned the short form products are down and on TV and all that stuff. And the reason is because more of it's on social now. And so we're going to just continue to see more of that. Like I said, we use it for our testimonials. We still shoot professional testimonials for sure, but some of the lower budget products, we have them do it themselves and send it to us. And there's still a learning curve there. You got to do it 2-3 times sometimes because they don't do it right. They don't send it right. So there's no shortcuts here, is what I'm saying. So those are my predictions.
Great, thanks, John. I do like the second one, particularly the user-generated content. There's so much out there, so much available. So many people now becoming more and more comfortable sharing their takes. Picking up their phone and just spouting off. So there should be a lot of that out there. Question about the AI thing, and obviously, AI has got its place and its place is growing. Do you think it's possible that an over reliance on AI in production could kind of like backlash into a more demand for human developed content?
AI can't do demos. So there is that. And so unless AI starts to be able to do demos, I don't know how it's going to replace us completely. You can use it for, I'd say for, animation. It can create animation. Maybe you're going to save some money in that category. I don't know. But, in talking to my clients, they still need demos and they still need companies like us to shoot those demos. So I don't think it will replace 100%.
Is there an AI? Is there a piece of AI that you find being effective for you right now? Any specific thing that you're actually using? Maybe not like overly, but you're using and finding positive results from.
Like I said, the VO part is getting a little better, and my editors are telling me it's getting a little better. So on really low budget stuff, we're open to using it, especially on like long sort of boring, not this one, but boring webinars that are sitting there spewing out information and you're looking at a screen and reading stuff. Yeah, I use it for that for sure, because to pay someone to do a 45-minute speech doesn't make sense. But when it comes to our TV commercials and stuff and the things we're doing, no, we use human talent still. I think it's better.
Great. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. All right. I'm going to go. I've got 2 people left, and they're 2 of our usual hosts, and I know that they're going to have great stuff. I'm going to go with Chris first, and then I'll let Greg hit cleanup. finish us off.
That's actually appropriate. Greg should be the one to finish us off in style.
I'm going bold, folks. Yep.
So what I'm going to do is I don't mean it to be self-serving for our business, and it sure sounds like it, but it's actually a prediction that I think I'm seeing starting to develop at the end of 2024, moving into 2025. And this is where I think marketers are going to be embracing automated direct mail at scale, because the technology now lets brands, marketers, and agencies link the data from connected television to IP address to privacy compliant postal addresses, and link that to customer behavior across the entire journey. So whether it's prospecting based on search intent, whether it's folks receiving CTV ads and knowing the households that receive the CTV ads to follow up with the direct mail piece, whether it's the lead generation that Joseph was talking about, where you capture name and information on a lead, whether it's direct mail retargeting, whether you can retarget the website visitors after you've driven demand, whether it's the email subscribers that who aren't opening, like Harold had mentioned, big passel of folks don't open. Even if you have a 30% open rate on your email, I mean 70% don't open. So we're finding that folks are turning those email subscribers into postal addresses to do follow-up mailings. To Dan's point about the call centers, we're actually able to capture phone numbers, append postal address, and remarket to the folks who do call in but don't buy. And then finally, the post-purchase automation. So when you buy something, 30 plus days, you can send a timed mailing out because you might not get the email that's opened, and the folks who don't open those reminder emails. So what we're seeing from our side is automated direct mail being used across the entire customer journey. And we're talking with more and more agencies and marketers about how you add that additional physical touch. The reason being is that CTV offers great impressions, but if you don't hit that QR code in the moment you see it, that ad is gone. And then like human beings, the brand is out of your brain until you see some other types of digital marketing that reinforces the brand. And then the mailing comes in and it just hangs around. Instead of being scrolled past or disappearing, it's on the kitchen table, it's on the fridge, it's on the place where people go. And until you toss it out or act on it, it just hangs around the house for that persistence, kind of long lifespan in terms of its reminding capabilities and the ability to take a user and say, okay, now I'm going to actually act. So anyway, we're seeing a lot of that, and I think that's going to be a big prediction. In fact, Harold did talk about using direct mail with the data as follow-ups and integrating some of that with their digital programs. So I actually think that that's going to be a big piece in full scale moving into 2025. And I think the second piece on that, which is correlated, is the integration of offline channels. So I just read a report by the Winterberry Group talking about performance marketing and across all channels. And the offline channels are increasing, but what they're finding is more of an integration of online and offline. So whether that's digital out of home, whether that's transit, whether it's other types of like direct mail, these are things where they're combining these channels of digital and offline and integrating those experiences for the customers, because they can't rely just on digital and digital activity anymore to push the user to actually act and purchase. So that's what I got. Those are my two, crisp and clean.
Well, that was easy. Very well done. It seems, there is a little bit of a pushback to more traditional means and of reaching customers these days. And what you guys are offering in connection with other performance marketing media outlets is very valuable. So I will say that I responded to a piece of direct mail last week. There
is something to direct mail. Like the physical aspect to it is irreplaceable. And this isn't a push for modern postcard. It's just, I'll get something. I'll be like, maybe my wife will want to see that, and it stays on the counter. And you have to actually make the decision. It's not for me to get it out of sight. And there's something about that.
You're right. And I don't know, like what, obviously it works in various verticals. Where it's really working in our house is with our our 2 alumni associations, or actually 3, because my wife went to a private school for high school up here, so they're very active. But the direct mail that I get from my college, that she gets from her college, and she gets from her high school, is very effective in reminding us to do something, getting us to do something, whatever it is.
There's almost guilt in throwing it out. It's like sacrilege.
Yeah,
right. And we're finding it across all sectors, including performance arts. So whether it's the symphony or if it's the ballet, right? You think about it, but you don't often visit the website. You're prompted to visit that website. And the one thing about mail too, which has been really interesting, is the creative uses of the sides, right? Because it's physical, you could have 4 panels, you could have 2 sides. You can do a lot with the messaging and the calls to action that you just don't get the space in a small digital ad or a pause ad on CTV. So we're finding that clients are being more interesting. We're finding that they are being more confident in having longer pieces of content on the card itself, because people actually read it, because you can actually hold it and figure out what, how much you want to invest in terms of your mental and mind space to when you read the actual piece itself. So yeah, it's been exciting.
Performing arts is an interesting one too, I will say, because for every year we'll do the Nutcracker, Boston Ballet, and we'll do the Boston Pops holiday show, right? Every year, and do it with the kids for the Pops. And I think it depends on the timing, because obviously I get emails all year now from Boston Pops and from Boston Ballet, but every year at the holidays they hit me with a piece of direct mail right before the email comes. I've actually taken notice of this. I'm like, when does this come? And it comes every year right before that first email, which is smart. And then like the piece of mail sits on my desk next to me as a reminder. It's like, oh God, I got to get those Pops tickets for the kids.
You know what they should do? Be a brilliant campaign is they should make it a Christmas card, because everybody puts the Christmas cards on their wall.
Yeah.
I like that.
Anyway, interesting, Chris.
There you
What's
go.
old is new. What is old is new, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, Greg, you are bringing us home.
All right. With all due respect to my fellow panelists, I took the assignment to heart and I came up with a bold prediction for 2025. And I'm going to start with some street cred here. When I did this in 2023, it was January 2023, I said 2023 will be remembered as the year Google started its downward decline to become the next Yellow Pages. Okay, so I said that in January 2023. And now, and you can Google this, if you want good Google search results, what do you have to do? You have to either add Reddit to the end of it, or you have to put before : 2023. Those are the 2 big hacks to get good search results from Google, because there's so much AI generated crap. So street cred established. Wow. I'm going to tell you why the prediction before the prediction. So in September of 2024, a few months ago, Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, makers of ChatGPT, said, and I quote, "In my little group chat with my tech CEO friends," so you can imagine who that group chat is, "there's this betting pool for the first year that there will be a 1-person billion-dollar company, which would have been unimaginable without AI, and now it will happen." I believe that. I believe eventually there'll be a $1 billion, billion-dollar 1-person company. What if that was a D2C company? Is it possible for there to be a 1-person billion-dollar D2C company? And in order for that to happen, whether that's 2025 or years in the future, what would AI have to do? Or what would have to be different than what it does now? And I started thinking through that, and here's my prediction. 2025 will be the year that we see the first AI tool that will ultimately replace most digital marketers. That's my prediction. Not digital marketing, digital marketers. And there's a reason for this. AI replaces things that it can do way faster than any human can do. We talked about script writing with John. You could say, no, make that script shorter. Nope, do it in Spanish. Nope, make it longer. Change it so that it's in the south instead of northeast. And it does it in seconds, right? So no person can keep up with AI's ability to write text, right? Can you get better text? Of course, you always can, right? digital marketing, there will be an AI tool. It will launch in 2025 that will do things with digital marketing that no team of digital marketers could possibly keep up with. Because digital marketing is about noticing trends, making changes, analyzing data. And the way digital marketing works today is that it's humans doing things. And there are digital marketing campaigns that don't launch because they don't make it in the top 20 list of things that you want to focus your campaign on. Well, what if there's a tool that could do all 100 of them and optimize them every single day? I think that tool is going to start this year. And I think it is going to have a major impact, certainly on D2C, on digital marketers themselves. Will there always be digital marketers? Yes, no question. Could they do a better job with unlimited money and unlimited resources and a big enough team? Absolutely. Could you afford them? No.
Love it. Greg, question for you. Have you experimented with Waldo.ai?
I've seen it. I haven't actually personally used it yet.
All right, so for the panelists and the audience, Waldo AI is a tool that is generated. I think it's called Waldo.fyi. I think that's the website to find it. They made this tool for agencies, and they made this tool so agencies could rapidly develop pitch scripts, pitches, marketing plans, marketing strategy plans, brand strategy plans. So what I thought was interesting is I teach a brand strategy class at UCSD Extension, and I have a structure for what a branding plan looks like. Well, they got it at Waldo, right?
Yeah.
You can put it in, and instead of a 9-week course, you have it in under 9 minutes, right? It's really interesting. And so, of course, there's not the insight and my natural charm within the classroom, but there is the structure of a branding plan. We just pull it out. They have competitive tables. They have market analysis. They have everything you might need to create a pitch to a brand that an agency might want when they want to create a marketing plan. So what's interesting about that tool is, and it's self-serving, I get it, but in the tool itself, it counts how long it took to do the action, and then it calculates, for whatever calculation it is, the hours you saved. Yeah. So after they do the plan, it says this plan took 2 minutes and 45 seconds, hours saved, 22 hours. Right. And so it's a really interesting, compelling thing. And I think that when you look at Jasper, which allows one person to fill out some content, and then Jasper takes that content and optimizes it, edits it for LinkedIn, for Facebook, for Instagram, for TikTok, for YouTube. It changes the actual content and the format of the ad so that it automatically pushes it out in a variety of channels. So the earlier generation was Hootsuite, but you still had to make the ads to push it to Hootsuite. Now Jasper does it all for you. I think, Greg, you are absolutely right, and you're so articulate and smart and prescient, and I think you nailed it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. There's actually one other piece of that too, is that the platforms themselves are using AI. Meta, for example. It used to be you knew the tricks of the trade, and you were this digital marketer, and you knew exactly what to do and to stay ahead of the curve. The platforms are doing that all automatically now anyway. I think the level of technical expertise and the level of just tribal knowledge that's needed to do a digital marketing campaign, you just don't need that as much anymore.
You don't need that. Right. And Zuckerberg actually recently noted that he thought that AI would replace mid-level coders.
And then he laid off a bunch of mid-level developers like last week.
Yeah.
Yep.
The AI is going to write the code.
Hey guys, can I change my prediction? I should have predicted that we'd have an AI fanboy mic drop moment.
It's me. Every year. Every year.
Here's my question to you, Greg. It's going to launch this year. When is it going to put digital marketers out of business?
Great question. It will put some out of business immediately, and they were the ones that should have been out of business, because just be honest, man, there are a lot of bad digital marketers. They check boxes and that's it. They had one lucky campaign 6 years ago, so they started an agency. It's just a reality. They're bad graphic designers. They're bad digital marketers. So most people, and I was actually going to say this with Jon earlier when he was talking about the script writing, the problem and the nail in the coffin for those digital marketers is that most people want just good enough. That's it. They just want good enough. We don't do digital marketing at Buyist. Yet when we bring on a new client, they're like, will you do digital marketing for us? I'm like, no, we don't do it. Please. Like, even knowing we don't do it, they're like, please, can you do it? So I don't have to log in and do these ads myself, but they'll do it because they're not looking for rocket science. They're just trying to check the box and get the message out there. And if that tool is at least that good, they're going to get business out of it because there are enough people that are like, I know I should do it. If it adheres to best practices and Meta, I'm good.
Yeah. Right. So those are out of business immediately. What about the good digital marketers? They're going to hang on for a couple years?
So no, there will always be experts because there'll always be a plateau. There'll always be a problem. How do I do this? The problem, and this is an AI problem in general, or a problem that will be introduced because of AI, is that when AI is taking that bottom of the barrel, right? So it's doing the stuff that's just good enough. You don't need to be an expert. It's pretty much check the boxes and done. It's harder to be a digital marketing agency because you're not having those clients anymore. Your interns, your new employees, there's no like low level stuff to work on. So fewer people will get into that industry, right? And then over time, next 5-10 years, it's going to be really hard to find digital marketers because they're like, why am I going to get into this industry? Right. So yes, long-term, big problem. And quote I use all the time is Tim Cook talked about why they don't make phones in the United States. They make them in China and others now, but it was years ago he said this. He said, because nobody in the United States can make the phones. We've lost the knowledge here. We moved all manufacturing overseas, and no matter what we paid, we cannot get somebody to build them in the United States. And as AI starts replacing these jobs, lots of industries are going to have that problem.
You know, it's funny you say that. I knew a colleague who's looking for, adjusting, career path and looking for a marketing role as marketing communications. And I was like,
yeah,
that's really hard. That's a big ask. It's a big ask to be a Marcom hire that isn't a director level because you don't need them.
I told this to my daughter for years. I was like, become a graphic designer. She's very good at art, or a lawyer. I was like, the world will always have a need for graphic designers and lawyers. And sure enough, ChatGPT came out and I was like, avoid them like the plague. Don't ever get into either industry.
She's like, Dad, where was your feeless prediction back then?
For real?
Yeah.
Boy, thank you, everyone. Greg, thanks for closing that out with a bang, as we knew you could. John, Joseph, Dan, Chris, Harold, Greg, thank you all so much for being here and for sharing your insights. We will not roast you over the coals in December, I promise, for any faux pas you might have made. But this will exist on our YouTube channel in perpetuity, so you can go back at the end of the year and check out these thoughts. And you can see what happened. Thank you also to the Workshop Council for bringing us the event. If you're a PDMI member and would like to get involved in one of our councils, you can reach out to me directly and share your interest in joining. Your next chance to attend a PDMI event live online is Wednesday, February 5th, when the latest episode of our Take 20 webinar series, hosted by Chris Foster, will dive into how performance brands are navigating the attribution minefield in CTV media. Please visit thepdmi.com/take-20 to register for the webinar and check out the upcoming schedule. And online registration for PDMI East, the association's spring 2025 event at Eden Rock, Miami Beach, continues. Badges are right now $395 for PDMI members and $595 for non-members. When you get badge for the event set for April 7th through 9th, you'll also immediately receive the link to book your discounted guest room at the host hotel. Right now, that discount is crazy. It was on the Eden Rock's website earlier this week. Our price at $339 a night is more than 40% cheaper than the online rate that the Eden Rock is posting right now. So grab your badge. You're going to save more than the cost of your badge if you stay 2 nights at this point. So it is only for badge holders. Visit thepdmi.com/PDMI-East to get your badge in your hotel room now. Thanks again all for joining us. Be well. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.